It wasn't just that she cheated. It was how she did it. In front of my friends. In front of everyone. She didn't just break my trust, she destroyed me. And for a moment, I couldn't breathe. How could someone I loved, someone I had built my life with, do something so cold, so calculated? The moment it happened, I knew our marriage was over. But I had no idea how much worse it was going to get. We had been married for 10 years. 10 years. It felt like a lifetime. And in that time, I thought I knew Sarah inside and out. She was my partner, the mother of our kids, the woman I had trusted more than anyone else. We built a life together. We had a beautiful house, a successful career, and friends we spent weekends with. It was perfect, or at least I thought it was. But there were always whispers. People love to talk. Friends, family, acquaintance, little things. Complaints about her working too much, about how she'd start acting distant after we'd get into a fight. But I pushed it all away. I believed in us. We had a family. And we had love, right? Then one night, everything changed. It started small. Little things at first, things I could have easily brushed off. Sarah was working longer hours. Her phone was always glued to her hand. When I asked about it, she'd either ignore me or give me a vague response. It's just work stuff, nothing important. I wanted to trust her. I told myself it was nothing. After all, who wouldn't be busy at work, right? But then came the late nights. The nights she had to work late or meet a friend for drinks. The friend I had never met. She was always so vague. Her answers were too quick. I didn't question it at first, but the nagging feeling grew. You know how it is. That feeling that something's off, but you can't put your finger on it. And then, one evening, she was too quick to put her phone face down when I walked into the room. It hit me. I never questioned her. But this was different. I wasn't paranoid. I had no reason to be. But something was wrong. That night, the air felt different. I couldn't sleep. Something kept tugging at my chest. I had to know. I couldn't just sit there and wonder. I needed the truth, even if it broke me. Sarah had fallen asleep next to me. The soft glow of her phone lit up the room. Without thinking, I reached over and unlocked it. I don't know what I expected, but what I saw left me frozen. Text after text. Between her and David. A guy I'd met a few times but never thought much of. Just a friendly acquaintance. But these texts? They weren't friendly. They were intimate. Flirtatious. My heart pounded in my chest as I read their conversations. My wife had been seeing him behind my back, and it wasn't just once or twice. It had been going on for months. I wanted to scream, to throw the phone across the room. But I didn't. I couldn't. I needed more proof, and I couldn't let her know I was onto her just yet. I had to act. There was no way I could just pretend like I didn't know. I couldn't live like that. The feeling of betrayal coursing through me was suffocating. I had to confront her. The next day, I could hardly look at her. She was acting so normal, too normal. Like everything was fine. As if nothing had changed. But I knew the truth. And it was killing me. We had plans that evening. Our usual Friday night with friends. But I couldn't shake the feeling. I needed to talk to her. I needed answers. When the time came, I couldn't wait any longer. The moment we were alone in the kitchen, I stopped her. "Who's David?" My voice was tight, barely above a whisper. I wasn't ready for this. I wasn't ready for what was coming next. Her face went pale. Her eyes flickered to the side, avoiding mine. "What are you talking about?" She tried to play it off like I was imagining things. I didn't give her the chance to lie. I pulled out my phone and showed her the texts. The messages. The proof. The silence in the room was deafening. She opened her mouth to speak, but nothing came out. I could see her mind working, trying to figure out what excuse to give. But there were no excuses left. "I know what's been going on, Sarah," I said, my voice shaking with barely contained rage. "How could you do this to me? To us?" She took a step back, almost like she was afraid. But then her eyes hardened. "I didn't mean for it to happen this way," she said coldly. "But you've been so distant, so wrapped up in your work. I needed someone who saw me." My heart dropped. She was justifying it, excusing it. "You think that makes it okay?" I spat, barely holding myself together. "You've been lying to me for months. You've been sneaking around behind my back and I..." My voice caught in my throat, and for a second, I thought I was going to break. The reality of it all hit me like a brick wall. I had loved this woman. We had built a life together. And now, it was all gone. She opened her mouth again, but I couldn't hear her anymore. My mind was spinning. My hands were shaking. Everything felt like it was slipping away. "I don't even know who you are anymore," I muttered, turning away from her. And that was when I heard it. I had been so focused on the affair, on her betrayal, that I didn't even think to question everything else. But there was something else. Something I hadn't expected. As I walked toward the door, Sarah's voice cracked. "There's something you need to know. Something I should have told you long ago." I turned back, confused. What else could there possibly be? Her eyes were filled with tears, but they weren't tears of regret. They were something darker. "I wasn't just with David," she whispered. "I've been seeing someone else. Someone you know." My stomach dropped. Who else could there be? It couldn't be anyone I knew well. Could it? She didn't say anything more. She just looked at me, waiting for my reaction. My mind raced. I tried to think of every person she had come into contact with, every guy in our circle of friends. But there was one name that kept popping up. One that made my heart skip a beat. Chris. Her best friend's husband. Could it be him? I could feel the room spinning. I couldn't breathe. How many more lies had she told me? How many more people had she betrayed me with? I needed to know. I had to find out if what she said was true. If Chris was involved too. I had to confront him. But before I could say anything, Sarah looked at me, her voice barely a whisper. "It's too late now. You'll never be able to find out the whole truth. Not now. Not after everything that's happened." I took a step back. My mind was reeling. I couldn't believe what she was saying. There was no way I was walking away from this without the whole truth. "Get ready," I said, my voice shaking with anger. "This isn't over. I will find out everything." I didn't know what I was expecting when I heard Sarah's cryptic words, but I sure as hell wasn't prepared for what came next. I stared at her for what felt like an eternity, my body trembling with anger and disbelief. Chris. The name rattled around in my brain like a bomb going off in slow motion. Her best friend's husband. He had always been there, hanging around during family gatherings, casual dinners. But I never would have suspected him. I had always trusted him, trusted her. And now, my mind was reeling. She had been with David. And now, she was telling me there was someone else? Chris? It felt like a punch to the gut, and it didn't make sense. How could she do this to me? How could she betray me like this? I stood frozen, my heart hammering in my chest. Her eyes were empty, like she'd already given up. But I couldn't give up. Not yet. Not until I had answers. "I don't believe you," I said, my voice hoarse. "I don't believe any of it." She looked at me with a sad, almost pitiful gaze. "You think I want you to believe me? I don't want anything from you anymore." The words stung, but they were true. There was nothing left for me to cling to. She was right. There was no turning back. I had to get the truth, no matter what it cost. I had made up my mind. I wasn't leaving here without knowing everything. Without getting all the answers. No matter how deep the betrayal cut, I had to know. I had to understand. I looked at Sarah one last time, shaking my head. "I'm going to find out everything. You think you can hide behind your lies, but I'm not going to let you." She didn't say anything in response. She just turned away from me, as if she was done fighting. Done explaining herself. I grabbed my keys and stormed out of the house, feeling like I was walking through a fog. I had no clear plan. No direction. All I had was this overwhelming need for closure, for the truth. My first instinct was to go straight to Chris. I had to know if she was telling the truth. I didn't care if it was risky. I didn't care about anything anymore except finding answers. I drove to his house. The rain had started falling in sheets, blurring the road in front of me. My mind was racing with questions. How long had this been going on? How far did their relationship go? Had it been physical? Emotional? Or both? I pulled up outside his house, parked in front of his driveway. I sat there for a few moments, my fingers gripping the steering. I felt like I was on the edge of a cliff, and the only way to find solid ground was to jump. Taking a deep breath, I stepped out of the car. The rain soaked through my jacket as I made my way to the front door. I knocked, my heart pounding in my ears. It took a minute, but then the door opened. There he was. Chris. He looked at me with a calm expression. A little too calm. "Hey man, what's up?" His voice was casual, like he had no idea what was about to hit him. "Cut the bullshit," I snapped. "I know everything. About you and Sarah." His face flickered for a second, just a flicker, but he recovered quickly. "What are you talking about?" He took a step back, clearly trying to avoid the confrontation. "Look, if this is about some misunderstanding, No." I stepped forward, my chest tightening with anger. "I know about you and her. You've been sleeping with my wife. How long, Chris? How long has it been going on?" He froze. His eyes darted to the side, like he was looking for an escape. He didn't respond at first. Instead, he swallowed hard, his eyes locking with mine. I didn't want it to happen like this," he finally muttered. "But Sarah, she's been pulling away from you. She needed someone who could see her." He looked down, avoiding my gaze. "I'm not interested in excuses," I said, my voice dangerously low. "I just need to know, how long have you been seeing her?" There was a long pause. A long moment where the truth seemed to hang in the air, suspended like a bomb waiting to explode. And then he spoke. "About 8 months, Chris confessed. It started when she told me things weren't going well with you." His voice trailed off. "I didn't mean for it to happen. It just did." His words hit me like a sledgehammer. 8 months. That was an entire year of my life I had been living a lie. 8 months of loyalty, commitment, and love that she had thrown away for something so trivial. I couldn't comprehend it. It didn't make sense. How could she do this to me? I couldn't breathe. I wanted to shout, to scream, but the words wouldn't come. My whole body was numb, like the life had been drained out of me. 8 months. And she had been lying to my face the whole time. "You're a coward," I finally spat. "You and Sarah both." Chris flinched, but it didn't seem to faze him. He looked down at the ground, clearly uncomfortable, but not apologetic. "I never meant for it to go this far," he said again, his voice shaky now. But I didn't care about his excuses. I didn't care about his guilt. All I cared about was the fact that he had stolen from me. I had trusted him. He had been at my dinner table. We'd laughed together. And this is what he'd been doing behind my back? "Why did you do this, Chris?" My voice cracked. I couldn't keep the emotion out. I wanted to keep my anger in check, but the hurt was suffocating me. "Why did you betray me like this?" He looked up at me then, his face full of regret. "I'm sorry, man. I really am. But I didn't know what to do. She was so unhappy. She told me she was falling out of love with you. That was it, wasn't it? It wasn't even just about her needing someone else. It was about her falling out of love with me and choosing to go down this path." I took a step back, trying to process everything. The betrayal was too much. But something in my gut told me there was still more. There was still something I didn't know. "Where is she?" I asked suddenly, my voice sharp. "Where is Sarah?" Chris hesitated. A look of fear flickered in his eyes. And that's when I knew. He knew something more. Something I didn't know yet. "I don't know where she is," Chris said finally. But there was an edge to his voice. Something I didn't trust. "Don't lie to me, Chris," I said, feeling the adrenaline rushing through my veins. "You know where she is. Tell me where she went." He looked at me for a long moment before stepping back and closing the door slightly, like he was trying to shut me out. "She's gone," he said almost too calmly. "I don't know where. But she left. Last night." The words hit me like a ton of bricks. I felt my stomach drop. She left? She left? But what the hell is going on? Chris didn't answer. He didn't need to. His eyes told me everything I needed to know. And then, just as quickly as the conversation had started, it ended. I turned and walked away, my mind racing with questions. My heart pounding with confusion. Why had she left? Where had she gone? And why hadn't she told me? Was she running from something? Or had she already planned her escape? Was this the end of our marriage? Or was there something even darker beneath the surface? I had no idea, but I had to find out. And I would. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Sarah had left. Left without a word, without a single message. She had walked out of the door, and for the first time in my life, I felt completely powerless. Everything I had built, every shred of trust, every moment of happiness we had shared, was falling apart right in front of me. Where was she? I thought about it all. The conversations with Chris, the lies, the infidelity. But what stood out was the look on his face when he mentioned her leaving. He knew more than he let on, and I had to find out. If she thought she could disappear without facing the consequences, she was wrong. I spent hours driving, calling friends, asking questions. But no one knew where Sarah was. It was like she had vanished into thin air. And that only fueled the fire inside me. Every unanswered question only made the need for answers even more unbearable. I drove back to our house, pacing the floors. The kids were at their grandmother's, and for once, the silence was suffocating. It felt like the walls were closing in, and all I could hear was the thudding of my heart. She had left me. But and where the hell was she? It wasn't until late that night, around 2 a.m., that I finally got something. My phone buzzed on the table. I had been staring at it for hours, hoping for some sort of clue, any sign of where Sarah might be. I didn't recognize the number. A strange, unfamiliar area code. I hesitated before answering. Hello. My voice sounded different, flat, like a stranger answering the phone. A pause, then the voice on the other end spoke, barely above a whisper. It's me, Sarah. My stomach churned. I felt a mix of anger, relief, and confusion all at once. Where the hell had she been? I'm sorry, she whispered, and I could hear the strain in her voice. I didn't know who else to call. You left, I said, my voice shaking. You didn't even leave a note. You just walked out like you didn't even care. I didn't know what else to do, she said, her voice thick with emotion. I couldn't face you after everything that happened. After what I did. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell her everything that had been building up inside of me for weeks. The anger, the betrayal, the humiliation. But I didn't. I needed to know the truth. The whole truth. Where are you, Sarah? I asked, my voice tight with suppressed rage. What is going on? There was a long pause before she spoke again. This time, her voice broke. I'm at a friend's house. I needed space. I've been trying to figure things out. I clenched my fists. Space? She had been living a double life for months, lying to me, and now she needed space? I took a deep breath, my emotions all over the place. Why did you leave, Sarah? Why didn't you tell me? After everything we've been through, why didn't you just talk to me? I was too afraid, she said quietly. Afraid of losing you. Afraid of the truth coming out. I didn't know how to fix it. Fix it? She had already destroyed everything. The love, the years we had spent building something that, to me, seemed perfect. I don't know if you can fix this, I said, my voice raw. But I need you to tell me everything. All of it. It wasn't easy. She hesitated, but I didn't care anymore. I needed to hear it. I needed to hear the words that would either destroy me completely or allow me to move on with the painful truth. I've been seeing someone else, she said, her voice quivering. It's not just Chris. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. Not just Chris? Who else, Sarah? I demanded, my voice barely contained. Who else have you been seeing? She exhaled deeply, like she was preparing herself for the worst. I've been seeing David too. And there's someone else. I don't know how to explain it. David? Her best friend's husband. My head spun. The betrayal was overwhelming. It wasn't just one affair. It wasn't just one man. It was multiple lies, multiple betrayals. She had been living a double life with not just one, but two of the people I trusted most in the world. You're telling me that after everything we've been through, after our kids, after our marriage, you've been sleeping with these men? I could barely get the words out. It was too much to process. I don't expect you to understand, she said, her voice quiet. "I've been running from the truth for so long. I didn't know how to fix myself. I thought if I kept running it would go away. But it didn't," I said bitterly. "It just made everything worse. You've destroyed everything." The line went silent. I could feel the weight of the years we'd spent together crashing down on me. All the love, the trust, the memories we had built, they were all gone. I had thought that by confronting her, I'd get the closure I needed. But in that moment, I realized I had already been in control. Not her. Not Chris. Not David. I had the power now. And it felt good, in a way I never expected. She had left. She had chosen to betray me. And now, she was the one who was running. I knew then that I wasn't going to beg her to come back. I wasn't going to crawl to her feet for forgiveness. She had humiliated me in front of my friends, and I had every right to move on. "I think we're done, Sarah," I said, my voice cold but steady. "You've had your chance. I can't do this anymore." "I understand," she whispered. "But I'm sorry, Jason. I really am." And with that, the call ended. It was over. No more apologies. No more explanations. The next few days were a blur. I focused on the kids, on work, on keeping my mind occupied. I didn't want to wallow in self-pity. I wasn't going to let her break me completely. But in a strange way, I felt free. I felt like I could breathe again. The weight of the lies had been lifted, and I was finally ready to start the next chapter of my life. I filed for divorce. I went to therapy. I talked to friends who supported me. And I realized something. This betrayal, this pain, it didn't define me. I wasn't the man who had been left behind. I was the man who had survived. I went to the gym. I started dating again. And slowly, piece by piece, I put myself back together. The hardest part of this whole experience wasn't the betrayal. It wasn't the affairs. It was realizing that the person I thought I knew, the person I trusted with everything, wasn't who I thought she was. But that's the lesson. People change. Relationships change. And sometimes, no matter how much you want to hold on to the past, you have to let go. I walked away not because I was defeated, but because I realized I deserved more. I deserved honesty, loyalty, and love. And I wasn't going to settle for anything less. But as I sat there, reflecting on everything that had happened, I got another call. It was from Chris. I hesitated. What could he possibly want? "Jason," he said, his voice urgent, "I need to talk to you. There's something you don't know." And that was when I realized there was more to this story than I could have ever imagined. What would you have done in my shoes? Would you have forgiven her or walked away like I did? Drop a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe.